So Word of the Street is about to come on. Hey, Maya
I'm
with the
ready.
beautiful hair.
Hello.
Hi.
No.
Hi, Maya. Hi, Nora.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
Yes, and we see you.
Okay, tell us if our audio goes out at all, because it is a little windy today.
Oh, yeah, I know. Ooh.
But we're out here at 57 Olive Street. We were just passing by the reopening of Sunrise Cafe. Which,
Okay.
yeah. And we've got someone who was attending the reopening here,
I was here for their opening.
Edward. So we're going to ask him what the word on the street is. Did we
Well,
give
tell
you a
him
head?
did y'all tell him what y'all are doing?
We had to think. I don't like to think.
So we're here on Love Babs Love Talk, WNHH radio show. So we're here to ask you quickly first. What's the word on the street today? What are you up to?
Well, today I'm going to do my beggary of a pan. Again, I asked for help from the homeless, the people in the cars that don't live here. That's what I do during my day. Then what bread I make, I break it with other people. I make sure that if I got to do something stupid like smoke a cigarette after I turn 21, and somebody younger than me is still smoking for no good reason, I don't understand. But I make sure that if they need a drag or two, I make sure they get just that. Nothing more. And a lot less if I can help it.
Are you rationing drags? That's what you're doing.
Rationing the drugs.
Again, yes. Medication, micrograms. The doctors order it 3 times a day with meals. Be on the street every day and see if you can't get a meal 3 times a day. You can. Just make sure you plan. But if you're not making a plan, then you're going to be in a clinic somewhere going, I don't feel so well.
Right. So are you from New Haven, or what's your story?
I was born in Bridgeport. My father decided to leave my mother for a pack of cigarettes. And my mother decided to say, screw you, and move from Bridgeport to New Haven. So I moved into Fairhaven when I was about 6 months old, about 52 and a half years, well, 53 and a half years. And I've been in and out ever since. I've lived in Waterbury and stuff. My family's in Torrington. I like to give a shout out, Lena Van Epps. Hey! But if you know her, tell her brother's still alive and well. Just gonna sue the hell out of everybody. But no, New Haven's been my, again, this is where I got my general education up to the 3rd grade. Okay. Then I dropped out. No, they just kept promoting me after that, and to the point it was ridiculous.
And so you're out here you got breakfast at Sunrise Cafe?
Every morning, every day. I wake up and walk over, and this is where I play.
Where did you end up going when they were shut down to get breakfast? Were there other spots, or?
Absolutely not. Nope. That night I would have to do my bakery again. My bakery on Martin Luther King. Everybody, again, the police all know it. Everybody knows it, except for the downtown ambassadors who don't like it for their boss's sake, because they walk around doing nothing all day. Don't understand how you get paid for walking around the streets. I can't get a job for them. They want to give it to me. I can look like an ambassador, walking around with a uniform on with my hands in my pockets. But again, that would be funny, wouldn't it? How would you pay somebody to actually just have a 40-hour-a-week job of doing this?
Right.
And taking pictures of homeless people who are homeless.
So what did you have for breakfast today as well?
Oh, I went with the standard eggs because that's generally what we eat all the time, unless they put the chicken fajita in it on a certain day, a Friday, I think. But today they were offering peppers and onions. Not very a big fan. It upsets my stomach. So again, when they get fancy, that's when it gets fancy. But I I just ordered the basics because it's a simple breakfast. I ordered their smoothies, which I recommend. The milk, of course, you have to have. And after that, it's the eggs and the meat and everything else, the breads and stuff. Give it to the birds. Waste of money.
I'm also wondering, you mentioned that you're an artist. How
Yes.
How long have you been doing art for, and what kind of was the inspiration?
Okay, well, my mother was an artist, my grandfather was an artist, and I was born retarded. And I decided to become an artist. And it was an easier way for me to accept the limitations of the normal person around me. So at the age of 7 in Fairhaven, they had Miss Marty's class in Benjamin Jefferson Middle School, Educational School in the elementary. And they took my first picture of Eddie from the Last in Line, which hung up in the mayor's office on the Biagio de Leo for 6 months. And he sent a nice letter to my mother. and they acclaimed me an artist. They said that I could do something retarded. I copied, except I didn't copy perfectly. I made sure I made one thing with my own one hand. I changed it. Can't be a copy plagiarist all the time. But then after that, again, over the years, I've always done art. I do portraiture, landscape, paint, oils, pastels. Anybody ever wants to find me, look for Eddie Wiggs. Good luck. But I've had 16, and when I went to DOC for stupidity of me saying honestly, I'm innocent, and them saying, screw you, we're innocent. I said, okay, knock yourself out. I did 17 pictures for the DOC's art program. One picture one year when I was first in, and then another 16 pictures of memories of New Haven, believe it or not, and my life in general. And they took the 16 on the same day I was getting ready to leave. They paid me for them. So there's a national art program that runs around with this man, Jeffrey Green from the DOC. He runs the Prison Art Show. And every year in Hartford, they do a display of our art, of everybody who's ever been a criminal of any kind of mental. But if they're an artist, I'd say that somebody might have been a little bit more retarded, because again, you can't do art without having a good heart. That's part of the art. Because somebody's got to like you. And they do some great photos. Like all kinds of hand art, paints and stuff. They don't allow us to carve and whittle and stuff, but again, we're not in school of the middle. But I learned how to whittle. But it's a great show to go look at if you ever thought that you were going to believe everything that everybody ever said about somebody who went to the court system, because you don't put your hand on the Bible no more. You don't even get to tell your lawyer your story. They just make it up for themselves on the reports. So you're always screwed. So honesty dictates that you have to live with your own liberty. So that's what I did, is I just performed my art to prove that I have a heart. I don't want to have a misstart, But I've been doing the art in New Haven for the most part since Tony Harp decided that she had a re-entry initiative, and they said I could be anything I wanted back into society. And I said, okay, I'll be retarded, because the first place they sent me was to a homeless shelter for 3 months, and said I had to live there for the rest of my life.
What homeless shelter was that?
Grand Avenue. They just closed it down, thank God.
Okay.
But again, they should have closed it down as soon as they opened it up. They had a 5-man shower that you had to get naked in as soon as you entered into the building with other people of all ages, of all. No, I don't do it. I wouldn't do it. And they do it at all the homeless shelters. So again, privacy dictates that if you're in prison, you have no choice. But even in prison, you get to wear your boxers in the shower, which most people do. Unless you're all freaky too. But again, who cares? It's America, isn't it? I mean, you're born bisexual in the first part. You had a father and a mother, right? That give you your first start. Electric was the first part, though. That's your soul. It goes electric and rock and roll. But I listen to the music to get the lyric out of the world. So that's how come I do all this fun stuff of being an artist. And Dr. Seuss, that's where I get the vibe from.
Yeah.
That's Harry. Do you have
stories.
any questions at all?
So where do you go? Do you go somewhere else for lunch, or how long do the Sunrise Cafe stay open?
Well, for now on, it'll be from 6:30 to 6:30 to 8:30 until they decide to change with the weather, because they don't feel that they can. Well, they feel they can change the time to fit the neighborhood, but since most of the people in the neighborhood are coming in playing homeless, they don't care what time it is. They'd rather get here earlier so they could get down to their, program and stuff like that. Who don't take care of them. They offer medications, but they don't offer any solutions. They leave it to the state to give free housing to the residents of New Haven who are not wanting to be residents of New Haven, because they don't hire. Very few people who ever got that shelter plus housing, or whatever they're calling it now, through 211 or anything like that in New Haven, actually stay in New Haven. They move them out to Hamden, they move them out to Amity, they move them out to Hartford. They don't want them in the downtown region, but they always come back to the region because they know this is where they could get a promotion. They could perform an art. They lie, they beg, they panhandle. They have the other day, a friend of mine, I've known him for years, mental health patient, lives over by Park Street somewhere, I don't know, but he's in subsidized housing for mental health, and he comes down and he plays homeless because he's a big guy. He walked up to this one man the other day and he said, "Excuse me, can you give me some money?" And the guy was very honest. He was very funny. He thought he needed money, so he gave him a $50 bill.
because he thought he was homeless asking for money. If you're actually a homeless person walking down the streets, you ask for nothing. Everything's free. Why would you ask for anything that's honesty? If you see me and you say, oh my God, he has a need, then you meet the need in your mind with free. You say, well, I can't afford to go give you a $100 pair of sneakers, like the $68 pair that's over there now, because they were pieces of crap that we bought from the store that lied to us and they said they were full leather. They're pleather. But the lady bought them for $68 when my feet were in bad weather. I lost 4 toes so far. So far. I'm planning on maybe another 2 or so. But as you see, they're beat up in pieces of crap. They're 96 months old. But they couldn't last the weather because again they were made for children. Again, they looked pretty. Everybody's, wow, those are nice. How much you pay? $68.25 or something like that. She paid for them on a whim because she said it was a tip to the church, and I didn't argue with her because again she was honest. I was honest. I needed them eventually, and they fell apart as fast as they could. Got wet and hurt my feet. So now I'm in another pair of pleathers. I won't tell you what these ones cost. Or those shoes over there cost me, or those free ones I got from here that should have been thrown away in the first place. Once a shoe is broken, it's no good. It has a smell, it has a flavor. You don't donate dirty shoes to a homeless shelter. You donate brand new ones to the person who needs them. The person who says, listen, this is my size and this is what I wear. You don't say, well, randomly just drop off your dirty crap and don't bring it to the laundry system first. But again, if you don't know, how could you ever claim, because you assume that if you brought it in and they were taking it, that they actually had a need for it. Mm-hmm. But if you went over to the 311 Temple Street, you'll see where we used to eat as a community inside their kitchen. But you can't get in their kitchen no more because they filled up the dining hall where all their donations of excess. They couldn't take all their donations and put it on the green and get rid of it all in one day because there wouldn't be enough people to take it away because they brought it all there, but they wouldn't want it back in their house. So the very few that would go there to actually be in need can't get nothing in honesty. They have to know somebody to ask them to go into the storage to pick out for you what they think that you want. Same like here. But here they open the pantries. So again, the Sunrise only runs from Monday to Friday. But on Saturdays, they do a pantry for the neighborhood. And they even have bags for the homeless. And then the workers take out bags that they shouldn't have even had access to, of the good stuff that they go and sell for whatever else.
So where do you live? I mean, are you homeless or do you have housing somewhere?
Well, I've always lived out. I mean, I love outdoors. I'm a claim. When I first decided to be called mental health of any kind, I chose an agoraphobic. I said that's an honesty because again, I like people, but I don't like being around them all the time. But I don't like the idea of being in a box. It just drives me crazy to be locked up every night in a box. But for about 15 years, I've been playing this homeless thing with Tony Harp's Reentry Initiative. They never told me that I was kicked out of it. They just told me that the place was defunct. I said, okay, well, one day somebody will get funky. But when they offered me my housing, they said that I could get housing under the mental health aspect of it. But then they said that I violated my contract by not being able to get a landlord to call them when they had the landlord's number to call them when they wanted to put me in a box over in Fairhaven with no door on the back door. Fire hazard. The place should have been condemned at that point or put a door in. Like, I'm a building apartment maintenance specialist from Job Corps with an accelerated degree. I took a 12-month course and ended it in 10. I walked out when I was done. They offended me. But I could have fixed the door for them. I could have put one in. I could have kept the box. It would have been a nice box for free for the rest of my life. But why would I want to stay in a box? Yeah, I love the outdoors. God made this perfectly for me. And I stay out all year round. But 8 months ago, though, I had an infection in a toe that ran for 2 years through Yale St. Rayfields. They ignored 1 foot when they seen 2 toes actually fell off of me.
Wow.
Again, this was all for fun and joy. They were saying I should have been in massive pain, and they were blaming it on diabetes. They never took my shoe off to see that it was actually frostbite that rotted 2.5 toes. And then when they drilled in for looking for infections and the good toes, I lost a 3rd toe to rot and infection. But nobody cared because again, they don't care about that. They could offer me pills like gabapentin, even to the last one was Lyrica for diabetes pain. Again, if you got pain from frostbite and pressure ulcers, guess what happened? It's not diabetes, and I got diabetes. So they tell me. still can't get the insulin though, even though they ordered it supposedly. But they're just again say it's important, but it's not so much important that they can get it to me on the time I need it, or that time they're telling me I have to take it. So again, but it just runs down to the basic: is if you don't believe that I have a daily need, why would you offer something daily and just expect me to take it? You know I'm smarter than if you know I'm smarter than you in 90% of your daily life. Then how do you expect me not to be smart enough to know myself? Like, why would a pharmacy give me 90 pills 10 days late? When I took the 90 pills before and took 90 pills, I waited 30 days from when I took it. So I came back late again. And then I got thrown out of a pharmacy because I didn't take the pills on the day that they were prescribed. Because I had excess, so I don't throw away 15 pills because again they're wasted because I'm not there on that day because you put the extra 15 in. No, I'm just gonna wait those extra 15 days, and if I need a pill in those days, I'll take it. And if I don't need it, then I miss a day. I'll wait another day because pain is a management. You gotta live with it. You can't just expect to be drugged up on it because again, the drugs for schizophrenia like Thorazine and Haldol, they're cauterizers. If you ever took a Thorazine pill and just for practice. Lick it. It ain't gonna kill you, ain't gonna hurt you, but lick it until the coating comes off. Because you know a teaspoon of sugar always helps the medicine go down. Yeah, once you take that coating off, then you taste it and it's caustic enough where it'll burn your throat and make you vomit because it can't get down by itself. It's a cauterizer, but it's a daily cauterizer. But if you're of a mental health issue where you can't control your thoughts and process because you're over processing, that's a problem. You don't have honesty to you. You can't get around it and nobody's listening to you. Because if you see somebody talking to themselves, who can they be talking to but God? Because again, that's their head inside. Again, you got two hemispheres of your brain and your electric that bounces to make it all possible. So if that electric is misfiring and catching up things that most people don't pay attention to, they might almost seem a little bit crazy to you. Brain lazy, maybe, you know. But again, if they're not harming nobody, and in their text, they're talking about how the devil's still alive because that's what they were led to believe, but they don't see the devil in their life, but they hear about him all the time. So again, why wouldn't, if Jesus could have made it to hell for 2 weeks in the Bible, why wouldn't he have walked out with Lucifer and said, hey, Merry Christmas to you. You had your job. You played an art because he was an artist for God. Again, he played a part. He gave a person a reason to sin. What? Sin again. Jesus never left the building, I don't think. They say he walked away after his crypt, but when did they find his body lying on the street again? Never. And would a God ever walk off the earth again to go backwards to heaven to his father? No. That'd be hell. That'd be stupid. Why would you kick your father out of his house? You don't need to go to your father's and parents' house or friend's house. You go to your house, earth. But then that gives you your first birth. But then everybody's telling you as soon as they said, oh, I love you so much, I loved your father so much that we had to create you. Don't die too soon.
So I have one more question.
Right.
I'm wondering, how has it been during COVID and the pandemic getting access to resources or just being outdoors? How has that been for you?
Well, for me, I find that the COVID is an honesty. Again, it's back like we had tuberculosis, we had polio, we had a lot of stuff. But again, we made vaccines and we got past it. Right now, we're past the COVID-19, where the government's even saying they don't have a policy for it. They're not trying to stop COVID at this point. They're just trying to say that anything inside the ozone, you're going to get eventually. Slowly or possible, you might get sick from it. You might catch COVID flu for a week or two, but you will eventually be able to beat it. It's good. It ain't going to kill off the whole population. That'd be stupid. We got Russia and China and Korea trying doing that with the nuclear war. You know, Korea said if they can't close their borders and keep it to themselves, they'll destroy anybody who gets in their way. If you come to mess with Korea right now, he'll drop a bomb on you. He just showed off his new interballistic missile. But this is an issue. In a store or any place where you have to go to mingle, but you don't have to eat or drink or anything, wear a mask. Honestly, if you get on a bus or in a car even with your best friend, wear a mask. You take a risk when you go home and you take off your mask. But at home, you have to take off the mask because you're going to be eating and drinking. But if you come into a location like this and they're telling you to put your mask up even before you walk through the door, because they already had their mask up all day long. They came in with it. Well, sometimes they don't follow their rules either. But they tell you to mask up while you walk around, so it looks good to them. But as soon as you sit down, the mask comes off. Now, according to their visiting APRN from Cornell Health Center, when I made a joke of it, I said, "Hey Phil, how stupid is this?" And he's the one who calls me a genius. Yeah. But I asked him, I said, "Hey Phil, how stupid is it to have a mask on to walk in the door, and then you could sit down and take your mask off, but as soon as you stand back up, you got to put the mask back on? Isn't the whole entirety of the room freshened with the same air? I mean, if I farted, wouldn't you be able to smell it somewhere?" He agreed with me. He said, "That's pretty stupid. You
All
can't
right.
wear a mask and eat."
Well, thank
I
you
mean,
so
that's
much.
a gas mask and a feeding tube.
Thank you so much for your time. This was quite illuminating. I appreciate you spending some time with
I'm
us
glad
this
it-
morning.
And I was waiting for a joke all day. I mean, I thought Eloquent would come over to me with a wig on, but he wouldn't do that. The news guy, I tried to give him fair warning when I told him to put his mask on before he even walked through the door. The guy before him was like, "Why are they wearing a mask? It's blatant stupidity. You can't run an eating establishment and breathe at the same time. You gotta stop breathing to put the food in."
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks, Babs. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Maya, and Nora. This was
Hey,
pretty
enjoy,
good.
guys. If ever you want a piece of art on me, just come find me. I'm not free, but I'm legal.
All right. Will do. Will do.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yeah, no
much.
problem. Girls, I'm glad you had a moment to take.
Yeah, definitely.
This
You
was
too.
entertaining.
We find the most interesting of people to talk to. And that's the premise.